All right, guys, how you doing? This is I always call it spinach pie. I put some other stuff up there, some stromboli and some other words I can't say, but I always call it spinach pie. And the first thing we need to do is make my bread, the bread dough. If you haven't seen that video, you're gonna have to watch that. If I can figure it out, I'll put a link to it above in this video. But you're gonna need that, and we're gonna let that rise. In the interim, let's do the ingredients. So I'm going to use diced potatoes that I bought in a can. If you want to peel a potato, dice it up perfectly like that, and parboil it, get it cooked but not mashable. You can do that if you want. I didn't do that. I bought a can of potatoes, they're like 48 cents or something. I don't know, it's cheap. And having them colander, I'm going to let them drain out, and then I'm going to put them in a different colander because I need this colander. Because I have leaf spinach I bought a can of. You could also buy fresh spinach, steam it, boil it, however you want to cook your spinach. Don't season it though, because we're going to do that later. I bought a can of spinach. I also bought the wrong can. You'll see later in the video why I say that. But I'm going to rinse that out and let that drain. And I keep using that KitchenAid bowl. That was a gift. It was given to me, and it's pretty cool. I like I like that stuff. And we're going to weigh down the spinach because we want to get all the liquid, or as much liquid as we can out of it. You know how they always say put a bowl on there and fill it full of loose beans? I don't use loose beans. I'm using a whole bag of beans because I'm going to cook those some other time. And what else we want in these ingredients is onion. And this is a half an onion. I'm just going to dice it up. I'm not going to use the whole half onion. I'm probably going to use a quarter of an onion, but I needed some room to work with here. And I'm going to, chop it up fairly small. How about we say half the size of the potatoes, if not 1/3 the size of those perfectly cubed potatoes that you peeled, cut up perfectly, and parboiled. Or, like me, opened a can. So we're going to get those onions on the stove. That was extra virgin olive oil, of course. And we're just going to cook them for a couple of minutes. We want them not fried onions, we just want translucent, I believe is what they say. I don't really know what the hell that means, but like 3 minutes, 4 minutes, I don't know. Till they're not crunchy. And I'm putting salt on there to sweat them out a little bit because you want some onion juice in there. And there you go. That's what we're looking for. And now we're going to add those potatoes that you can see are now in a different colander. And we're going to mix those up. And I don't really even know why I showed you this much in the video. I mean, yeah, you mix them up. I think you can figure that part out. But once we have those fairly mixed up, I'm going to add a little bit of black pepper. Now remember, I already have salt in there because we're going to put more salt in later. I already have salt on the onions. I like black pepper in this dish, and I know it looks like a lot. It's not a lot. It's not a lot of black pepper. Put the black pepper in there. Use it all. I don't know how much that was, but it's a lot. You can see it. And I'm actually going to add more of that later too. Okay, the spinach. Remember I said I bought the wrong can of spinach? I bought leaf spinach, which is absolutely fine. Except I could have bought cut spinach and not had to have done this. And I'm doing this for a video, so I did it with one hand. Typically you'd put both hands on each side of that puppy and rock it back and forth, and it's a lot easier, but I did it this way. But anyway, you want those, pretty chopped, because you're going to try to mix everything together, and that's no easy task, my friend. And the more chopped they are, the easier that's going to be. So we're going to add these to the onions and the potato, and it's really not many ingredients in this, and that's why I said I don't really know what to call it. Spinach pie. I've always called it spinach pie. That's what we call it in my house. And I made this dish up, so I don't know. It's like a stuffed bread, so it's like a stromboli, I guess. But alright, so we added the spinach to the potatoes and the onions. I regress. Here's a little bit more salt, not much. We put salt on the onions, so we're just gonna, we're seasoning in layers. I put a little bit more black pepper on the spinach. I do not know why, but it didn't hurt. I mean, I ate this. This was awesome. But we're gonna mix that up really well. Takes a lot longer than what you just saw there. But we wanna, good mix. And we're gonna add 2 more things to this. I think it's just 2 more things. Frank's hot sauce. That's what I always use. That's what I love. If you have Tabasco or whatever your hot sauce of choice. I like Frank's hot sauce. That is a 1/4 cup. I know it looks like a half cup, but it's a 1/4 cup. And I was going to say a half a stick of butter, but actually that's about a stick and a tablespoon. You know how they have the little lines on the butter? That's probably about, I don't know, what was it? Let's see, I think it's 8. I don't know, a half and one more line. And add this to the spinach and the spinach mixture with the butter. And also this takes a lot longer than what you just saw there, but under a low heat, we're going to stir that up. And there's our mix. So I'm just going to cover this up, and I need this to cool down and get down to room temperature-ish. So I just take it off the heat, cover it up, take it off the heat. Now we're going to make an egg wash. You're going to see why in a few minutes. Obviously, you should be able to figure this out by now that we have the bread dough, and we have the filling, and we're going to have to bring all this together. So there's a couple of eggs, a tablespoon of water, and we're just going to mix it up really, really well. But don't keep going until you have a custard. Just That's pretty good. I probably could have gone a little bit longer than that. But, oh well. Alright, we're going to take a cookie sheet or a baking pan and cover it with tin foil and spray. Now I know there's little pieces of bread and stuff on there. If you had watched my last video about the kale soup, you saw that I was warming up French baguette. Well, I made these videos at the same time. So that's pieces of French baguette, but I mean they're only like 10 minutes old. But I used some spray and I put some cornmeal, coarse cornmeal on that pan also. And we're to the dough. Now, like I said, I'll try to put a link. Maybe I'll do it again here if I can figure it out. But this is my bread, my bread video. Just go to my channel and look for the bread video. It's not very long. It's not very difficult. And that's exactly what this is. And this would have been pretty much ready for the oven to make bread. But I'm going to cut it in fourths because I'm going to do 4 what I call spinach pies. And look at the air bubbles in this dough. I mean, this dough came out fantastic. And unfortunately, look at the air bubbles. I mean, it just came out so good. And I kind of feel bad because if I was making a bread or even if I was making a pizza, I would cherish those bubbles. I want those. In this particular recipe, I'm popping them. I don't want those in this. You'll see why later on in the video. And we're gonna flatten that out to. I made these a little big, but about a circle. Yeah, there were the bubbles. Oh man, it breaks my heart to be honest with you. But I mean, this is a really good dish. Don't get me wrong, but it kind of breaks my heart to kill all those bubbles. That's my very professional rolling pin that I use. That's what I had. I don't know, man. I own like 3 rolling pins. I couldn't find any of them, so I used a wine bottle, and we got that out to a incredibly poor looking circle. But it doesn't matter. I mean, just get it flat. We're gonna fold it over, so just get it flat. And I'm making 4. You saw 4 pieces of dough, so we're taking about a fourth of the filling and putting it in there. And that was, my wife will eat it right out of the pan like that. I mean, if I don't continue making this, if I'm just like, I get as far as letting it cool off, and I go off and do something else, she's just gonna eat the stuffing. I mean, she doesn't care. Animal. And here's our egg wash. The egg wash we're putting around the sides of the dough, because we're gonna close it up, and that's our seal. I used to do this with super glue, and the taste was horrible. So I started using the egg wash to seal the pies, and it tastes much better, and it's probably better for you. And flip it over. Here we go. And we need to seal that. I'm patting down the filling. I don't really go nuts about trying to get it all a half inch from the edges or any of that stuff. I like the chewy bread on the side anyway. I guess this is why I call it a spinach pie, because I seal it like a pie. You use a fork, and when you make a pie, that's what you do with the crust, right? That's what I do with this. So there you go, spinach pie. That's why I call it that. And that's just about ready to go in the oven, but yeah, see, I can't seal enough. There you go, all flattened out. Obviously, repeat this 3 more times. Now, the egg wash is something we're going to use on the outside of these things too. It's going to brown them up really nice. And what do they call that? A knish. Just like you would do a knish. Matter of fact, I'm going to do a video on a knish because I do make a knish. I just couldn't remember what they were called for a second, but we're giving these a good healthy dose. I mean, don't be afraid to slobber these things on. And this is the world's dullest razor blade. I want to put some air holes in this because, like I said, I didn't want the air in the dough. I don't want the dough all bubbling up or anything, and I want the filling to be able to breathe. That is the world's worst razor blade. Look at the horrible cuts I made. I got one good cut right there on the far right. One good cut out of all that. And some friends of mine, Kenny and Olive Oil, put salt on the top of their bread, so they kind of gave me the inspiration for putting salt on the top of these. And it's just a little sprinkle of coarse sea salt. I don't know if it makes a difference, but I think it's kind of cool. So we have that 425 degree preheated oven, and we're just going to put them in there, and we're going to put them in there for 10 minutes. That does not mean they're cooked. It just means we're just going to put them in there for 10 minutes. And then, because I don't know what you call it, convection oven, or, you know, the oven with the fan in it? I don't have one of them. Excuse me. So after 10 minutes, turn it around, and we're going to finish cooking them. And they go for 6. Yes, there it is. 6 more minutes. And that's it. There they are. These things are so good. Look at the juices bubbling out of those horrible holes. And look at that one on the far right. It's like every family has one, man. There's always going to be like the duckling. So for demonstration purposes, the one on the left is the best looking one. So that's the one I'm going to go for. And I'm just going to pretend that they all came out that good. It took me 4 to get that razor blade to work. Is that incredible or what? Anyway, this is how I serve them. Cut it in half, and it's kind of like a little sandwich, I guess. So it's a spinach pie, stromboli sandwich. That Greek word I can't say. The Greeks, when they do this with puff pastry, and they use different seasonings. So I can't really call it that either. But there it is. So now we have to do the proper taste test and give one to the wife to see what she thinks about it, and which I do with everything, you know, because I didn't have any leftover filling for her either. So we're gonna let her take a bite and see what she has to say about it. Yeah, I can read lips. She was saying you're a god in the kitchen, you're wonderful, I love you, blah blah blah. I get it all the time. Anyway, thanks for coming by, guys. I really appreciate you being here. You guys rock. Hi guys, just want to say a quick thank you for watching the videos. Please subscribe, like, and share if you enjoyed them. And please, come back for the next one.